Good afternoon, everybody. Again, not another ideal, place I'd like to record, but who else likes talking during a long ride? And I'm driving alone, so you're going to be venting a little bit. I'm sorry, you're on the phone holder thingy, and it's a little bit loose because of the sun hitting the windshield. So I'm currently driving to my niece's softball game up in Howland. They're in the quarterfinals or finals. They're playing the number 1 seed in Howland. So that's exciting. So I'm heading there. So I just wanted to talk a little bit today. This is going to be series 2. And to not veer off of subject too much, we're going to start the conversation. I don't have a title for the series yet because I don't know what direction I'm going to take it yet, but I'm going to start the conversation to tell you it is my biological father's birthday today. And I was asked by one of my siblings if I was going to call him. And while I thought a little bit that it might be a maybe, because I also like to check in with people, my immediate response after was no. I did not hear from him or my stepmother or my brothers on my birthday. I did not hear from them this past Christmas, and the Christmas prior to that. They basically went to my sister's house, who is the next apartment complex over, and did not even acknowledge that they were coming. They didn't say anything to me. Can we stop and say hi? We didn't need gifts. We needed your presence, you didn't even come say hi. Not even a message like, want to come stop to say hi to us at Brianna's. That's my sister's name. So there's a little bit of a back and forth there. So we'll take it further back. That's the beginning of the conversation of some really intense feelings today. So we're going to take it further back to growing up. I grew up in Greenbush, Maine. That's between Old Town and Lincoln, a small town. I grew up with a father, 2 older sisters, and a younger brother, until I was 11. My parents had a very bad divorce. Lots and lots of pulling of children back and forth, lots and lots of very, very big feelings of distrust and hatred, all around. So bring us to a night when all of us children are around with my mother, talking to the father I grew up with. This is the father that's on my birth certificate. I share his last name, which is Lancaster. And he says to my mother, "You tell her or I'll tell her." So, of course, wondering children, I'm 11 at the time. My brother's 9, 10. Sisters are about 12 or 13 and 15-ish. We're all pretty close in age. And come to find out, before I was born, my parents separated, and my mother got with my biological father and had me, okay? So we're telling somebody who's mid-puberty, you have a different father than your 3 siblings you grew up with. Of course, we don't like our father that we grew up with at this moment because of distrust and dishonesty in our family. So everyone was like, that's not fair. I want a different dad. And so, of course, I thought that was the coolest thing. But also, what the fuck are you supposed to think as an 11-year-old girl that you have a different father than the siblings you grew up with? So at that point, I had feelings of, I want to know who this person is. So before my 12th birthday, I met my biological father, who was then, I don't know if he got remarried to the woman he's married to now, or if he was just with her, because I didn't have my brothers yet. But I met him, and then I found out I had 2 sisters that he had with the woman he was previously married to, who he left for the woman he was with. Alright, we've got 2 fathers, okay? Distrust, dishonesty in both sides of the family. You've got an 11-year-old, 12-year-old girl in the middle finding out, great, I have more sisters. I was excited for that. I met my siblings, my new sisters, on my birthday party. We've gotten along great. We've, had our ups and downs of sisterhood, but we've had some really great times. I'm super thankful they're in my lives. One of my sisters has 2 children, so I've got a niece and nephew from her, by her. The other one has given me 2 niece puppies. They're not puppies anymore, but not puppies in general, but and we've had so many good times. All right, fast forward a little bit. Bio dad is remarried, has a brother, and has one brother who I started growing up with as I started visiting more often. Trying to figure out where I fit in with that family, figure out what to call this new person in my life. And a couple years later comes my second brother. Not super close to them, but they're my siblings. I still call them my brothers. I don't call any of my siblings half siblings, even if we only share one parent. On the flip side, my legal father, the one that's on my birth certificate, the one I always knew as dad, gets remarried to the woman he left my mother for, has a set of twin girls. I was very close. So, two siblings. My phone was really hot, so I had to wait for it to cool off, so the video got cut a little bit. So I had the twin sisters, and I was really close to them. I helped raise them, even if it was a little bit more intense environment. My stepmom on my legal father's side was a lot more intense in her parent style. I think it was a little bit more harder feelings there because of my mother and them, and then their side of the family. So everything coming together was a little bit more confusing and complicated, but my siblings and I, especially my brother and I, played an essential role in my twin sisters growing up. And as they got older, we were still kind of close, but they after high school they kind of went their own way, and we find out that adulthood isn't everything it is. So I no longer talk to both of them. I talk to one of them here or there, but as an adult, I talk to the siblings I grew up with, my sisters on my biological dad's side, and one of those sisters periodically. But let's fast forward a little bit to finding out you have that dad. There were lots of questions of what, why, when kind of things. what happened. Why didn't he want to be on my birth certificate? It's different stuff like that. Why didn't my grandparents accept me on my legal father's side? So apparently my mother and legal father being married caused my bio dad to say, you guys are still legally married, he might as well be on her birth certificate. He stayed until I was born. I probably checked in, I'm not sure. I never knew anything of him or his family until I was 11, almost 12. There was no desire to be in my life until he had to be. And now, as an almost 40-year-old woman, I haven't spoken to my legal father basically since he moved out of the state of Maine. He is more in touch with my oldest sister. There was a lot of feelings of anger and distrust and just so many different feelings of not knowing why this person doesn't want to be part of your life, but will go make another whole family and do complete opposite things that they ever did for you and yours, but with somebody else. And I'm not sure, and I want to understand their perspective, but I also want accountability, because their actions are their own. I've done a lot. I have a son now. When he was younger, I tried to have them be a part of his life. There was like little to no interest. There seemed to be more interest in them being a part of my sister and her daughter's life and helping out there. So maybe it's because of it being her growing up with them. I'm not sure. So I'm not forcing anybody to be in my life or my son's life, or growing up I was always with my maternal grandparents. There was never, even my legal father's mom and dad, mostly his mom, after my grandfather passed, I was around her a lot. She understood a little bit more. She'd help me through some hard times. Yes, I got on her nerves, but her guidance helped me in times I needed it most. But my maternal grandparents, up until the day my grandfather died, they were like second parents to me. My grandfather showed me so much value and interest and advice he shared with me, in his final days especially. And my son saw more love and want to be around him from my grandfather, from his great-grandfather, and from his paternal grandmother than he would ever see from his paternal, like my father's, either of my father's side. And that's really sad. I'm thankful for my mother. My mother shows up for all her grandkids as much as she can. So I'm really thankful for that. So pretty much just sharing, the split family and the emotions that come along with it. Lots of blended families happen. So I understand that. However, I just wonder if people realize the effect that it has fully on those who experience it. And stuff like this just gets swept under the rug so much that, like, you can't just act like it doesn't exist. Like, our family does a lot of, if we don't talk about it, it didn't happen. Stuff like that. Or I refuse to have a conversation about it. Maybe because it means taking accountability. I'm not sure. But I'm going to end it there. My phone holder's messing up. I know the video's been a little bit wishy-washy here and there. And I've talked your ear off about some pretty hard topics. So I appreciate you listening. And if you have any input, you have some personal experience that resonates with this, go ahead and comment. If you have advice, something you've been through this, or even words of encouragement. So I appreciate you being here and listening. Hope you all have a great Saturday.